Good evening and welcome to the Quarry Valley Unified Union School District Board meeting. It is September 14th, 2023. If you'd all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first order of business is the approval of the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mike. I'd like to remove the West Rutland Wood Boiler Grant from the agenda.
Motion for that.
Any other additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda?
Is it possible to just, in old business, just do a 20-second?
Mine does not work.
Like, do we have a copy to?
A strategic plan?
Yeah, just like, do we have a copy of it? Yeah, it's the final version.
Chris could probably update that in Superintendent's report.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Sure.
Thanks.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. General public comment. Is there any public with us that would like to speak to an issue not addressed on the agenda? No public is in attendance. Old business. New business. All right. Approval of minutes. The August 10th, 2023 minutes.
Make the motion.
Motion by Mike. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the warrants. Receive your warrants via GRCSU email. All questions should be directed to Lewis. A motion would be in order for the approval of warrants.
So moved.
Motion by Linda. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Superintendent's report. Chris?
Thank you. So I will actually begin with strategic plan since that was brought up. So if you don't mind, I'll start with that.
Sure.
Our goal was to have a draft copy of the strategic plan disseminated to all community members. I spoke with Erica Siddell, who's our rep for Patel for Kids. They are the group that worked with us for the past 2 years on Portrait Graduate, as well as on the strategic plan. They also have the graphic design department that is putting together the final copy of the plan that will be sent out. There was a bit of a delay on their end. Their goal is to have the plan to us sometime next week. So I have a letter ready to go out. I'm just waiting for that final copy to be sent out to our families. So my goal will be by this time next week or by Friday at the latest to have something to share out. We are looking to put the slide presentation on our websites. We'd asked our Shannon to do that, but I think the presentation when Patel for Kids provides that will look a little bit nicer, a little bit cleaner with the strategic plan. So that is our ultimate goal. So hopefully there'll be no more delays. So do apologize for that. I have a few other items on my superintendent's report. Obviously, we're now in our third week. We're in our third week of school. We had a great start to our school year. I've had an opportunity to get to all of our Quarry Valley schools at least 2 to 3 times. Schools, during the summer can be very lonely places, and I think when you get the staff, you get the students back in the building, things liven up, and it's been great to see our staff and our students back in the buildings. I do want to say thank you to all our administrators, to our facilities and custodial staff, and to our general staff members for all their hard work over the summer, getting our classrooms, our schools ready to go. Things look great on day one, and as well as also the staff for all their work for the past 2.5 weeks, particularly last week during that warm weather. They did a nice job of keeping the kids as cool as they could be and moving forward. So also in our fall opening, we have 2-day workshop with our teachers. Day 1 is an SU-based. Day 2 is a school-based, and I know that in our principal reports, there's a lot more about what was covered during our school-based presentation. At the SU presentation or workshop, it's where we typically highlight our GRCSU Teachers of the Year. And I know that at the SU board meeting last week, we did discuss our recipients of this year's Outstanding Teachers Award. And we have 2 Quarry Valley recipients. One is Dawn Sarley from Fulton High School, and the second is Patty Ryan from Proctor High School. We'd like to congratulate Dawn and Patty. They're 2 exemplary teachers. They do a phenomenal job with our students, and I think they're well-deserved in this reward, or award. The ceremony for teachers for this day will be at November 14th at the University of Vermont. It's a nice ceremony. During COVID, they went to a virtual, which was a nice recognition, but it's just not the same. I think they have a nice reception from 3:30 to 4. Then from 4 o'clock, they do a really nice job of honoring all these recipients and recognize them for the great work they've done. So I will be in attendance. I know that if any of you want to attend, just reach out to me. I can share that information. But as I said, Dawn and Patty would appreciate the support. So just want to say thank you and congratulations to them. Excuse me. Also, in the packet, or in my board reports, we did review with the staff this year, just our GRCSU vision, our goals for the year. We felt it's important for all of our staff, for our administrators to all understand kind of what we're working towards, what we're focusing on. And we had 4 bullet points. And I'm just going to just kind of read these out loud just so members of the public that do watch this can hear this. And you'll see that these 4 bullets are rooted in our strategic plan as well as in our continuous improvement plan. So it all kind of ties together. Our first goal or vision for the 23-24 school year is ensure that all GRCSU students have access to high quality instruction and learning opportunities on a daily basis. Ensure that all GRCSU students will demonstrate academic growth in the areas of math and literacy over the course of the 2023-24 school year. Ensure that all of our students and staff feel welcome, affirmed, safe, and a part of our school communities. Ensure that we as an SU have established channels of clear and effective communication in our schools and SU amongst staff and our school communities. So like I said, that was shared with everyone. I think you'll see that as our building administrators set up their professional development plans for the year. These 4 goals will be worked on through that, as well as the district and SU-wide professional development. And the last thing I just want to talk about is along the lines of the academic growth. Over the past couple of years, we've had a lot of assessments with our students. I know that there have been some complaints that we've been giving too many assessments from some members of our community, and a lot of that has to do with just requirements of the state placed upon us in terms of information that we need to gather as we came out of COVID. As we looked at this year, particularly as we were looking at measuring growth, we decided that as opposed to doing FastBridge and MAP, particularly with our younger students, that we were going to shift to FastBridge. And it's the same type of assessments. We'll still measure growth. I think you'll find that we did ask our staff, we did ask our administrators, and they overwhelmingly were in support of this shift to FastBridge. And one of the positives of FastBridge is it does identify students' areas of strength and also areas of improvement. It provides interventions, recommended interventions as to how we can continue to meet our students' needs. So it's a nice one-stop shop for both our students and our staff. We will have more, when we bring out the quarterly reports, we'll kind of explain a little more. And Lisa Madison has a lot of good information that she can share with you on this. I do want to talk a little bit about intervention because I know that it's a word that's when people hear, they typically default to playing catch up with some of our students. While that is one aspect of an intervention, as we look at our EST or our MTSS and we look at these type of assessments, our goal is really to provide interventions for students across the spectrum. So an intervention can't be for a student who needs more, to be challenged a little bit more, needs a different pathway, or needs different opportunity, different course offering. These are things which we're really trying to strive. Is that in the past we've focused on playing catch up, getting students where they need to be, but we felt that in certain situations or instances, students who are doing well or who are above that may not be getting the benefit of additional interventions, additional supports. And so we're looking at how we can really best meet the needs of all of our learners and continue to maximize their learning potential. And we think that FastBridge is going to help us with that, as well as teacher support. So And the rest of the information here really just for your review. So if there are any questions, I'll be more happy to answer them right now.
Questions for Chris? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Principal,
I apologize for not being here tonight, so I'll be there at the next meeting.
we'll behave well that we're on our own tonight.
Already had an issue with the camera, so.
We're not to be trusted with technology.
I could play around, but I don't, we're already into the meeting, so.
Yeah.
That's okay. Thank you.
Principal reports are in your packets for information. You remember because we're only 3 weeks in, we said principals did not need to be at the meeting this evening. Finance, Louis isn't joining us, he's at another meeting. You'll see the timeline in your packet also. He'll be at the October meeting to discuss the budget timeline. So at that time, he'll be speaking to us about any wants, desires, or what we're looking for the budget, if we're looking to increase, if we're looking in the past, for example, we have told building principals to come with a list of all that they would choose to if there was no price line, and then we kind of, prioritize from there. So those are the kinds of things at the October meeting that you need to come prepared to share with Louis to give him some level of direction, okay?
Can I request, I would love to see a spreadsheet of kids in classes, like how many kids in each class, in each school, how many special educators, how many kids are on 504 SPED, how many teachers are teaching, is there more, how many, so if there's like 2 5th grades, and you've got 2 5th grade teachers, could I get a spreadsheet to see those numbers?
So population of schools are in every principal's packet every month.
Right, but I'd like to see it on one sheet, where everything is on one sheet, where you can see it, and you can see all the schools,
And that just shows you number of enrolled students, right?
Right.
It doesn't
Right.
show you, so like, for example, which I feel like we talked about last year, maybe, being able to understand, like, if a principal comes and is on their wish list, 3 teachers in these areas, or 3 custodians in these areas, or 3 whatever other things, it's really nice to know, well, how many, to look at the number of not just kids in each grade, but how many adults are interfacing with those kids, and what are the roles of those adults, especially with so much social and emotional learning focus and grants out there. It would be really good to see, like, maybe that's a hole that we don't even know we have, because I don't know what those numbers look like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not just special ed staff, but also other, like, school counselors. Maybe we need a few more of those. I don't know, just thinking about from hearing from principals and hearing from parents and hearing from teachers, like, just the behavioral issues that are just amazingly different than they were 3 years ago or less. So I'm just, if I feel like we talked about that before,
Right.
kind of breaking it down a little bit different than we're used to seeing it, so we can say, okay, if we ask for these 4 things, maybe there's ways we can shift resources around
Right,
too,
right.
rather than,
Right,
you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
just,
We've talked about it, so
Yes,
this will give us an
I
opportunity
mean-
to see it.
We can, is that something, Chris, that you could provide for us? For like
Yes,
the November meeting then?
yeah.
Sure, that's not a problem at all. I think it makes sense. I know that, to kind of speak what Kristen was discussing, I had a conversation with Louis the other day as we were getting to meet with, I know we like the term wish list. The only issue I have with wish list is a lot of times there are items that are put on there that aren't wishes. It should really be read as a need list. And I think part of the issue is if the building administrator places a staff need on there, we really have to also take a look at the data and say, does the data support this additional staff? So we take a look at, say, behavioral issues, and there's a lot of data that we can collect around truancy, attendance. We can look at, just number of referrals, we can look at suspensions, expulsions. These are all things that we need to do on our end as, as we take a look at, the current staffing and whether or not that is adequately supporting that is a school or district. So these are discussions that we're going to be having with them. So to put together a spreadsheet to share that with the board to take a look at as well, it shouldn't be an issue. We have those numbers. We keep all those numbers anyway, so we could put that as a part of a packet. And I think it's probably good for the board if there's anything else that the board would need, just to let myself and Lois know, so we can prepare like a budget packet, just for whatever information you need around any of these discussions.
Right, so I think if we had that for November, that would be good.
Yeah, I just think it helps
Sure.
us understand sort of because the principal's still gonna, even though we're all in one district, they're still focused on their own building and their own staff and their own kids usually, right? Like, that's kind of their day-to-day.
Right,
So they're
but we
gonna see,
are
like-
doing a lot of crossover, and I think that we probably need to be doing a little more conversation about that, because we are doing that.
But like,
And-
we have a staffing hole at Polteny High School, and it'd be great to know, like, okay, let's see if we can do some staff sharing to fill that hole in a temporary, and then it's taking us years to find people in some areas too. It's really hard to recruit and find people, so maybe having sort of an Excel thing that we can manipulate and move stuff around, like, you can do a lot more when you have, like, how many adults do we have servicing this?
Right,
group of
and if
kids
you
versus-
recall, that's one reason why we negotiated to get everyone in the same schedule.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
why, for example, someone's in a building this semester at one building, but next semester they'll be in a different building.
Yeah.
So those things are happening.
Yeah, so it would be good, though, to see, okay, well, other districts have a similar number, like sister districts might have a similar number of kids and students, but they're addressing their needs with this many staff, and, we're not doing this, or we're doing this compared to others, because we're also losing students to other districts, and so it's another tool to be able to break down some of those numbers, to be able to say, what's the feedback that we're getting from people who are going elsewhere? Like, is there something we can do besides just looking at salaries, for example? Because I know we're close to Rutland and we have to compete with that, but it would just be nice to see a little bit more broken down besides just like, okay, there's 50 kids in the 5th grade, So who are the adults interfacing with those? Is it
Yeah.
2 teachers? Is it 10 teachers? Is it, because not all the behavioral issues are related to, there's a lot of other students who aren't on plans or aren't part of the special ed community that, might need some extra oomph, help, supports, right? And maybe we could be looking at that too. So just one way to sort of look at that a little bit more detail.
Okay, so we'll have that in November.
So I think, personally, I like that. I think that what we need for the board is that those are conversations we should be bringing to the board, and the board then, tries to find resources to support that, as opposed to the board, the other way around. I think that's a conversation we need to be bringing to the board. Here's what we need, here's why we need,
Yeah.
and so is, right.
But if we
I
have
agree.
that, then it helps us make decisions, like, we're gonna have to prioritize, right? We're gonna have to have discussions, and so having some of that background information is super helpful.
Right, and but it also falls on building admin, like we said last time. If you're coming and saying you need 2 classroom teachers, an interventionist, and a behavioral specialist, then we were pretty clear last year, you need to come
Right.
with the data and the stats to tell us why you need that. Some principals did really well, and then some principals just came. So,
Well, and
there is an onus on them to come. That onus doesn't live on
Right.
us.
Yeah, no, that's.
Well, the other thing is too, and I've talked about this before, is the culture of melding the Rutland, Rutland Town, and Proctor to the Wellspring and Polteny was different, and I've had a discussion about it, was that when we were on the board for Polteny and Wellspring, when a principal came to the board, we knew that that's what they needed, okay? Maybe they didn't bring all the information because it was just the culture of the board that
Well,
we
just-
knew that they needed that. And we
smaller
didn't.
group, right?
And
A
it was a
smaller
smaller
group to keep
group,
track
so
of,
we
right?
were
And
in
now it's
there.
bigger
And so trying to get them to to say, okay, this is a different culture and you really have to, because we're trying to meld you know, a lot of people together and the way things are done. And, you know, that was difficult too, because before Chris, we had somebody who kept saying, well, this is the way we do it, and this is the way we're going to do it, and instead of trying to work together. So I think we are trying to get that thing of, you know what, we're in a different place right now, and we really do have to come more prepared, better prepared, you know, because we're bigger than what we were when we were doing it in Pulteney and Wells Spring. So I do think that you're right about the, you know, maybe they didn't have it together. That is something that really needs. But if we also have the information, and if we can even get, I don't know if you can get it in October, you're saying November, I'd love to see it in October to be able to look at it for a little bit longer than just November's meeting, you know, and so, but you, Chris, you decide how and when you can get us the information. If October's not going to work, then November is fine. But if we can get it earlier, I'd love to see the information a little bit earlier. That's just my opinion, though.
Mike?
Well, isn't it really the superintendent's job to be the resource manager? In that the building principals discuss with him the resources that they have and what they're looking for, and how they may have people to do that or not, and then to discuss with the superintendent how that may or may not work out. But then the superintendent really brings it to us. It's not sort of our job to manage it outside of that, is it?
That's how we used to do it
I know how we used to.
pre-merger.
I know, yeah, that was pre-merger.
Yeah.
And I understand what Linda's saying, because there was that small community, but I think really it's the superintendent's job to manage that, come to us and say, look, we've got a need here. This is the need that I see. This is what I think we can do about it. Now, let's talk about it with you and see whether you endorse that or not.
Yeah, and I think different superintendents have done it sort of differently, and I think at least, you know, pre-merger, there were fewer building managers to sort of have to get to, fewer schools to have to get to, you know, so, you know, it's just, the bottom line for me is it's easier to make decisions if I have all the information, period. So if I have more information a month ahead of when I have to make the decision, even better. But if that's not realistic, I understand that too, so.
Right, but we're not seeing the budget in October. In October, we're only discussing what we'd like to see in November.
right.
So we're not making any budget discussion, any decisions. The only thing you're doing in October with respect to the budget is saying, this is what we want to see from building admin with respect to the budget.
Right, and they would bring that in November.
So that'll be the first draft in November, incorporated with whatever we say, and then what building admin in conversation with the superintendent, assistant superintendent, see as a need for that building based on the data, as it has been, so.
So my goal would be to have this information as soon as I can for you. So I think there's a blend between what Mike and Kristen say. I think what I would like to do with the admins is, as they place items on their list, that those are items that we feel they need. And then you will have the data and the information then to look at, you know, whether you support our recommendation to the board in terms of this is what we would like, or we can have discussions. But I think that's how it would be. It's like, so if I come to you and say that we need 4 additional, you know, behavioral specialists across our schools here, but there will be data then that will support that, and then that would, you know, the board then can decide whether you support that recommendation or we look at how do we find that money. I think that would be the best way to go, but you have that information to understand, you know, here's our logic and here's our rationale behind this, and then we can then discuss. And if we feel that's a need or a priority, we then look at, are we going to add that to the budget, or are we going to find, you know, other ways to implement that?
Yeah, and I think I understand what Mike is saying too, is that, you know, even though we have the information, it's you that's coming to bring it to us. And, you know, as we look at as we see the schools and stuff, we can make a decision easier. But it is you truly that is bringing it as the superintendent. You've talked with your
Right.
administrative staff, you have the overall whole look of everything, and then, yeah, you bring it to us. So if the principals, they actually are presenting to you, and you're presenting to us.
Right.
So, okay,
Yep.
yeah,
And you'll have all the information around those decisions that we're bringing to you.
yes.
Right.
Thank you.
Perfect. Yep. And my goal would to be have it to you as soon as possible. It might just be in stages, but if it would be for the November meeting, my goal would be to have at least a week or two prior to that for you, so.
Sure.
That'd be great. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, moving on to personnel, contract recommendations. Professional staff. Alan White, West Rutland teacher, $43,088. Support staff. Lillian Lynch, West Rutland custodian, $6.19 an hour. Jacques Bourrod, West Rutland crossing guard, $16.50 an hour. Carl Soriani, West Rutland facilities director substitute, $201.27 per diem.
We haven't replaced him yet?
We did, do you want to address that, Chris, or is that executive session?
That would be an executive session for
Okay.
talk about that.
Sure. Extracurricular. Bridget Shatra, Pulteney Elementary after-school program staff, $15 an hour. Mallory McGinnis, Pulteney Elementary after-school program coordinator, $20 an hour. Irene DeMattis, Pulteney Elementary after-school program substitute, $15 an hour. Louis Malazzo, Pulteney High School senior class co-advisor, $1,384 stipend. Stephen Torres, West Rutland 7-8 soccer coach, $750. Jill Dutton, West Rutland Standards Board member, $300 stipend. Zachary Hampton, West Rutland Jazz Band director, $1,750 stipend. Zachary Hampton, West Rutland Marching Band director, $1,750 stipend. Matthew Olnick, West Rutland Student Government Advisor, $1,250 stipend. Brandon Bailey, West Rutland Drama Club Advisor, $1,250 stipend. Mary Margaret Fagan de Oquendo, West Rutland National High School National Honor Society Advisor. Oh, jeez. Oh, they all start to run together. $1,250 stipend. Phil Henry, West Rutland Select Chorus Director, $2,000 stipend. Phil Henry, West Rutland Festivals Chorus Director, $2,000 stipend. Tanya Erickson, West Rutland Destination Imagination Advisor, $1,250 stipend. Kiri Cemente, West Rutland Standards Board member, $300 stipend. Taylor Sherman, West Rutland Sophomore Class Co-Advisor, $200 stipend. Jessica Audette, West Rutland Sophomore Class Advisor, $200 stipend. Michaela Taylor, West Rutland Junior Class Co-Advisor, $200 stipend. Matthew Olnick, West Rutland Junior Class Advisor, $200 stipend. Brandon Bailey, West Rutland Senior Class Co-Advisor, $300 stipend. Jenna Abatel, West Rutland Senior Class Co-Advisor, $300 stipend. Emily Brooks, West Rutland Spelling Bee Co-Coach, $300. Jamie Alfie, West Rutland Spelling Bee Co-Coach, $300 stipend. Kiana Grabowski, West Rutland 5-6 Soccer Coach, $750 stipend. A motion would be in order to approve as presented.
So moved?
Go ahead, Linda.
Okay.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Resignations. Resignation, Kristen Crook, West Rutland teacher, abandoned position, no resignation given. A motion by Mike. Discussion.
Abandoned is just no longer, it's no longer there.
The person is no longer there.
Okay.
So the individual never showed up.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Policies. First reads, F25, Section 504, and ADA grievance protocol for students and staff. F11, English learners. E12, flag display. The motion would be in order to move first reads to second reads.
Make the motion.
Motion by Mike. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. H4, visits by parents, community members, or media interviewing, filming, videotaping, or recording. A motion to rescind this policy would be in order.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Kristen. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. General public comment for any item discussed during the meeting. No public is present. The next meeting will be
October 12th.
October 12th, and we should be at central office.
What's the holdup there?
There's no hold, they just have been using the space as they move and get into their offices. So where we would be like in a conference room, that's just kind of been used as a storage space, so.
They're almost through with it.
Tom, if you want to stop by, help us move some stuff, we could use some help.
Yeah.
I'm
So
good.
they're in there, but they're just using that as a space to move things around, so.
We just can't find a place to put his socks.
All right, a motion would be in order at 6:38 to go into executive session to discuss a personnel matter.
So moved.
Discussion.
Make the motion, Linda?
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.